Yeah, and on crystal clear 95.7 FM. Welcome in as we kick off a Monday, and happy to say hello and good morning to our friend. You should be checking his show out every day as well. Kevin Kietzman, the podcast. Kevin Kietzman has issues. Kevin, you've done a lot in your career, but welcome to FM radio. How are you? Good morning.
Hey, this is awesome. My first radio job in Kansas City was on FM, but it was only part-time. I worked at Channel 4, and we did on the old KY102. I was host of the Derek Thomas Show way back in the day in the 90s. There is nothing like talk radio on FM. It just sounds great. Congratulations to you, Pete, and everyone there at KCMO. I know this hasn't been easy. You've done lineup changes and everything else, but that's a killer signal, man. I've been listening since you switched. It sounds absolutely fantastic. You've never sounded better. Way to go. And people listening, if you don't know, it makes a big difference. I mean, it really does make a big difference. If you're doing talk radio on FM, it is with a big signal like you're on now. It's just a massive deal. Way to go.
Well, that's very nice of you, Kevin. Thank you. And, you know, it's because of folks like you coming on the show and being a part of this show and this station that help make this possible, man. But I'll tell you what, I was thinking about you over the weekend, not in a weird way, not creepy or anything like that, but I was thinking about you because I'm watching your Kansas State Wildcats completely turn their season around on the backs of a true freshman quarterback, Avery Johnson. He's a Kansas kid. I mean, as a K-Stater, and for K-State fans, and there's plenty in this audience, that was exciting on Saturday. Does that make you feel like this season is turned around, and would you be rolling with Avery Johnson on Saturday against TCU?
Okay, I wouldn't, and I'm always the first guy to say, yes, look at him, he's a stud, let's go play him. But I would not pull that trigger yet. I would start Will Howard in this game and see what TCU does defensively. This was a great in-game move by Chris Kietzman, the coach at Kansas State. If people remember, if you're listening right now and you remember the Chiefs playing Tampa in the Super Bowl, when Patrick Mahomes was basically, he was not good. They neutralized him completely the entire game. They played a two-deep zone, and they said, you're not throwing the ball to Tyreek Hill. You're not going downfield. We're taking this away from you. And then Mahomes really struggled with how to adjust to that. That's where Will Howard is this year. Will Howard's the starting quarterback at Kansas State. He was terrific the second half of last year and won the Big 12. I mean, he's the biggest quarterback in the league. He's 6'5". He's a big, strapping kid with a good arm. And defenses have just changed the way they're defending Will Howard, and he hasn't figured that out. Along the way, he's lost his confidence. They're doing the same thing to him that the Buccaneers did to Patrick Mahomes. And so what Chris Kietzman did on Saturday was he said, I'm going to put my running quarterback in. If they're going to play a two deep back there, I'm going to put this kid in and let him run the ball. And he ran for 5 touchdowns. So it really was kind of a change-up in the game. I don't know what TCU has planned for Saturday, but I think you stay with Will Howard. He won the Big 12. I don't think you want to raise expectations that Avery Johnson's just going to burst on the scene as a true freshman and take over, but he may. I mean, the reaction of most of the K-State players was, we see this in practice every day. This kid is unbelievable, and you're going to see a whole lot more of it over the next couple of years. My sense is Will Howard has been pressing because he's seeing it in practice too, and he's kind of been looking over his shoulder. So it's a strange dynamic at K-State, but what they've lacked all year, Pete, has been a playmaker on the field. They lost their best wide receiver and their best running back from last year. They've not had a playmaker on the field. When Avery Johnson is on the field, they have a playmaker, and that's really what they need.
Now, down the road, of course, in Lawrence, their issue has not been quarterback play, even, of course, with backup Jason Bean in there. But their issue, I mean, stopping anybody, it seems like, and they lost to Oklahoma State over the weekend. KU, a lot of people wonder, can they be a Big 12 dark horse this year? But that loss sets them back on Saturday. What's wrong right now with the Jayhawks?
Well, there was nothing wrong with them in the third quarter. I mean, they went out and scored in their first drive of the second half, and they've got a big lead in the game, and then they didn't score again. I mean, they're running up and down the field. Jason Bean had over 400 yards passing in this game, and he's their backup quarterback. I mean, he was just flat out on a roll, 5 touchdowns in the game. I mean, they were playing great, and all of a sudden it just dried up. It was a little bit like Missouri the week before against LSU. KU didn't finish. Their last 5 possessions, they didn't score. Now, how you can go up and down the field all day long and score like they did, and then your last 5 possessions you don't, is beyond me. There were a couple of turnovers in there, but a couple times they just didn't get the first down. There was a pivotal point in this game where they had a 4th and 5 at Oklahoma State's 40 with, I think, about 7 or 8 minutes to go in the game, and they fumbled the ball and didn't get the first down. That's what changed the entire thing. They had the lead and a chance to put it away, and they didn't do it. So many of these games are turning into like NFL games, Pete. It's what do you do in the last 7 or 8 minutes? and Oklahoma State was better in the last 7 and 8 minutes. I was really surprised with the way that Kansas game ended.
Now, how surprised, speaking of surprises, Missouri was an underdog. They go on the road. They beat Kentucky. I mean, this team is a drive away from being 7-0 and probably top 10 in the nation had they beaten LSU last week, which they had a chance to do late. Missouri, Eli Drinkwitz, a lot of people wondering whether or not he was the right guy for the job coming into this season. 6-1, Kevin, you can't complain with the results right now at Mizzou.
This was their best win. Beating Kentucky was their best win this year. It was better than beating K-State. As disappointing as it was to not finish against LSU the week before, all I wanted to see out of Missouri this week was a strong fourth quarter. Finish strong. Even if you don't win the game, I want to see you play your best ball. This was a tough crowd, man. 62,000 in Lexington for this Kentucky game. A good team, a ranked opponent, and Missouri closed them out 18-0 in the fourth quarter, and they did it in every possible way. They had a fake punt for a touchdown in this game. They ran the ball okay. Brady Cook had a rushing touchdown, a passing touchdown. They played great defense. They had 6 tackles for loss, 3 takeaways, 4 sacks. Missouri did everything in this game, and their best part of the game was the fourth quarter, and they pulled away and won this rather easily. That's what you want to see. That's what top 15, top 10 teams do, is they win games and play their best late, and they did it in a really tough environment, Pete. That crowd was on fire Saturday night in Lexington. I mean, Kentucky jumped out to a 14-0 lead in this game, and it looked like Missouri was just going to get smoked. And they come back and win by what? What was the final? 17 points they went by? It was just a tremendous performance by Missouri.
But it's got to be tough for Mizzou fans right now because they're literally in the division, not just the conference, the division with what appears to be the best team in the country in Georgia. Like, they're sitting here at 6-1 in the top 20, and it feels like they have no chance to win their division. I know they go to Georgia in a couple of weeks, but I don't know, Kevin. That's got to be tough for them, no?
It is tough, and I don't know how anybody's going to get by Georgia, but remember a year ago, and listen, this is a totally different deal. They're going to Athens. That's a whole different deal. But for 59 minutes last year, Missouri was better than Georgia. They had them beat until the last minute of the game. And they up and down the field all night long, they had Georgia beat. And in kind of a fluke, they lost that game to Georgia last year. Now, I don't think they're going to beat them in Athens, but I thought maybe that was a little precursor of what we can see out of Missouri. Again, I can't overstate how impressive Missouri's defense was in this game, especially in the second half on Saturday night, because that's the way Missouri makes the next step. They've got a quarterback. They've got a great wide receiver core. They can run the football. If their defense steps up, they can beat Tennessee. They can beat Florida. They can beat South Carolina this week. I mean, they could be looking at a 9 or 10 win season, which would just be phenomenal for Mizzou.
That's true. Kevin Kietzman is joining us. The podcast, Kevin Kietzman Has Issues. He's on KCMO Talk Radio. Kevin, the Chiefs were off this weekend, of course, but Travis Kelce sidelined at the Eagles-Jets game, cheering on his brother, who, of course, plays for Philadelphia. I don't know if you saw it, Kevin, but you got Travis Kelce not drinking a Bud Light on the sidelines. He was having a Corona, man. I knew that Kelce deep down wasn't a Bud Light guy. I knew it. What about you?
Dude, all of his best friends are conservatives. And I don't get this. And Taylor Swift's one of the wackiest liberals on the planet. Okay, like I've got a theme on my podcast. Taylor Swift is going to swing this election, and it's not going to be good. I'm not kidding you. She's going to go for whoever the Democrat is, and she's going to push for it. And all these little Swifties are going to go out and vote at like a 90% rate. It's going to be crazy. There's a professor at the Dole Center at the University of Kansas that now agrees with me. They've put out some sort of a statement that they think Taylor Swift could swing the election. This isn't Travis Kelce, football player. He's a bad guy. He's dating Taylor Swift. She is a problem. And I know we got Taylor Swift fans in the audience. She is a massive problem for America because she is crazy hard left. I mean, like,
you think so?
Hard
See,
left.
I don't think it benefits her, though, to do that. What is the benefit?
She's already done it. She's already done it. My daughter's 27. Her best friend is the hardest left person you've ever seen. She is a complete and utter Swiftie. Like, her life has been dedicated to Taylor Swift for 15 years. It's all about abortion. It's all about women's health care and reproductive rights and all these things. And they are dyed in the wool, buddy. They are so hardened, and she teaches and indoctrinates every single one of them to believe that men are out to get you. You
think that Taylor Swift in 2024 is going to come out and be overtly political?
I have no doubt.
Wow.
When she sees Trump up in the polls, she's coming for Trump.
Jeez. All right. Well, we'll see.
It's going to happen. She's already done it. I mean, she did it in Tennessee. She was out against Blackburn in Tennessee. trying to get the Democrat elected there. That didn't work in Tennessee. She has nothing to lose at this point. You get to a certain point where your fans adore you so much, they're never going to leave you no matter what. They won't care. She's made so much money. It is important to her. She is way more political than anybody knows.
Last thing, Kevin, I only got a minute here, but I want to ask you, Jason Whitlock just put this up on Twitter. He writes here, so far this week, two NFL teams scored more than 26 points. And he goes on to say the game has been dumbed down, lack of practice time, players oversaturated with cash, thinking more about jersey swaps. He's basically pointing out that the NFL is a worse product and the show's been bad for a while. What do you make of those comments from Jason Whitlock? Do you agree or disagree?
I don't agree. I think we saw some lower scoring games this weekend. Obviously, the Sunday night game was boring. The Bills game, they came back and won against the Giants. But here's what we had. We had two undefeated teams that everybody thought had great offenses. And what happened when the Eagles ran into the Jets yesterday and the Niners ran into the Browns? The Browns and the Jets played great defense at home and won low-scoring games against the best teams in the NFL. That's fantastic for the NFL. That's what we love about it. We love parity in this league. We want to see the Giants, the biggest underdog all year in the NFL, take the Bills to the final series of the game before falling and actually having a chance to win it on the last play of the game. That's great for the league. I'm sorry. I don't mind a few lower scoring games. This doesn't bother me at all. The Chiefs are playing defense this year, and if defense is what just beat the Eagles and Niners, this is a great sign for the Chiefs. The Chiefs do not have to score 40 every game. They're playing really good defense this year. And I think sprinkling in a little defense is good for football.
I totally agree. I'm with you there. Kevin Kietzman, the podcast. Kevin Kietzman Has Issues. Find it wherever you get your podcasts. Hey, Kevin, great to hear you on the FM dial, my friend. Thanks so much for being a part of the show. We appreciate it.
You too. And again, congratulations to you because a lot of this is a reflection of all your hard work and your entire staff. You guys have crushed it, and management has made a great decision for you guys, and go get them.
Thank you so much. That is Kevin Kietzman. Great to have him on KCMO.